just a quick update on what would Alex Smith add to the quarterback room? Obviously, he hasn't been cleared for physical just yet, but outside of it, whether he's able to play or not, just what is he able to offer you all in terms of information, insight? What are you expecting working with him and helping with Dwayne Haskins?
Oh, great question. The thing that jumps right out at me is urgency to learn. There's nothing about him that says, I already got this, or I know this, or I did it like this before. It's how are we doing it here in Washington? How do you want me to do it? These are some things, the experiences that I've had. He adds those afterwards, but he wants to know how we want to do it as a group. And that's always first. And that's a great example he sets for the rest of the guys. And he could very easily be, well, I know this, I've done this, and it's like this. And not like that at all. He's fantastic. He's a great example for the other guys, and he's been fantastic.
In terms of the identity for the quarterbacks, what exactly would you say that is? Obviously, you've had the experience of working with players like Brett Favre or Kurt Warner and a number of other quarterbacks, Carson Palmer as well, too. What is the quarterback identity you're bringing to the team with Dwayne Haskins specifically?
Well, we need guys that play winning football for us here in Washington the way we ask them to do it. Every team's different. Every team has their own philosophies. Those two places had their own. We'll have our own through the eyes of Coach Rivera and Coach Turner. But I know it's going to be a low turnover type deal and a big play down the field when we can get them and be very consistent in between. So those are the things that we'll play out, and we'll work on the mentality as we go forward. But it's an attack mentality, but don't be silly with it.
Obviously, your family and the Turner family is very familiar with, the Air Coryell offense. I wonder, in this iteration of it, the one that you guys have here, how is the quarterback position, different, or kind of what tweaks did you guys put on that position with how you want to run your offense?
Well, there's a lot of similarities. First of all, making good decisions, being able to throw with accuracy, mental toughness, and just resilient people. Those things cross all lines in all the different styles that this offense has had. The different tweaks come in. What wins now in the NFL? It's still a long ball league to a degree. The teams that have the chunk plays change the field and score points, especially early in the game, throwing it. At the same time, there's some new things in the NFL that come with the style of players that we get and way to attack defenses that we didn't really jump on board with until in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years with spreading the field out. Running the ball happens in gun just as easily as it happens from under center. 5 yards from either is still 5 yards you gained on somebody. But when you stretch it out, you can put smaller, faster athletes on the field more often. And I think they're more prevalent than some of the big guys. And maybe that's why we've seen some of these teams go a lot more to 3 wide receiver personnel to spread the field and get nickel fronts and things like that.
Having no on-field time with the guys up until now, and what is your approach in beginning to work with them and evaluating them?
Well, it's a great lesson in trust. We have to trust that they're doing what we like them to do outside of the building, because that's all we've had with them in a physical standpoint, that they're eating right, sleeping right, training right. And luckily for us, we have guys that love all of those things, and that's why they're on our team. I think when you talk with Coach on down through Coach Turner, guys that love to play football are guys that are going to come to Washington and be successful for us. And these guys are in that mold, and that's why I have great trust in those guys. You saw what happened when Dwayne puts his mind to it. He's down in weight. He's in great condition. All those things that are in your control, he's handled very well in the offseason. Now we're on the next step. What are we going to do on the field within this offense and this communication system, and how are we going to compete and those kind of things? That's where we're at right now. But all those guys did a nice job coming back, and Alex sure did, and Kyle and Steven coming in sure got his weight down where he looks like he can roll too.
Having worked with Andy Dalton during the lockout year, is there anything you can take from that time when he was a rookie that is applicable to this time?
Yeah, not having guys in the spring, again, you're trusting that they're accountable people that will handle their business in the playbook while you're not there to oversee it. And that year it was like that. We were drafting Andy as a rookie, and he was going to come in and start, but we didn't have spring. So he had to be accountable for the language and be able to speak the plays when he got into the huddle the first time to make an impression of all the veterans that we already did have. And he did that. And we're in a similar situation. We have a new offense for guys that haven't spoke the language. Now we have Kyle coming in who has experience in the language. Alex has a little experience with Coach Martz in San Francisco with the language. and Coach Turner, but Dwayne and Steven don't, and that's why we're relying on those guys to handle their business away from the building. And when we have had them on the Zoom meetings, we're pounding the language in their head and making sure they speak it as well as they can until they get out here and actually do it and feel it and talk to the other guys.
Hey, Ken, Ben Standig with The Athletic. Thanks for your time.
Sure.
To go back to Alex, obviously, like the main focus right now for most of us is like, will he be able to pass a physical and things like that? But obviously, that isn't the whole story. If he actually were to be able to pass the physical, then the question is, well, how does he perform on the field? He's been away from the game for some time. There's obviously some physical concerns with him. As the quarterback coach, what are some of the things that you would start to look at with Alex that would be maybe different than your other quarterback projects when it comes to, for him specifically, being able to get on the field, things that you maybe keep an eye on, that you'd be concerned about, things to try to help him if he can go out there?
Well, physically, the first thing we have to find out is if he can protect himself. And we'll figure that out as we go. And as he passes a certain criteria to get to the next level of, getting himself back to the field, we'll figure those things out as we go. And when it gets to the point where he gets to practice, we'll find out. The drill work will be very important. How quick is he when he pushes off and those kinds of things, and change of direction. But I think the other things will come back very smoothly. You don't lose the experience you have playing the position. So some of those things will be like riding a bike, and others won't be. And we'll jump through all those hoops when the time comes. Really excited about that.
Wanted to ask a little bit about Dwayne, and what are the things that you would maybe like to see most from him? What are the things that you think he can work on most that jump out at you, even though I know you haven't had him on the field yet, but what kind of comes to mind with you?
Well, I think the memorization of the playbook, speaking of the language fluently, it's certainly like learning a foreign language, and being able to study the reads and know them inside and out. That's the part that is the toughest. That's the newest. It's easy to drop back 5 steps and throw it to an out route. Everybody does that in every offense. Those physical things I think will be easier to pick up. It's the other things like the mental side of it and the memorization of where we want to go and why, the philosophy of the play, who we're trying to throw it to, grouping different reads in such a way that it's not new learning. It's these 3 are the exact same read, but they're not always given that way. But as you group things together, as you learn things, and with the group in the room, hey, what can we put together so it's less learning? We just know they're all this. In fact, we've got 5 or 6 that are all this read, and 3 other ones that are this read. So whatever, let's say you got 6 here, you got 9, and there's really only 2 reads and 9 plays. So those are the things we're trying to do to make it easy on all these guys, and Dwayne in particular. And I can't wait to hear him speak and fix things, and see those wheels turning faster and faster each day we go out there.
You were saying that during the Zoom meetings that you all were pounding the language, but what is the one thing that you have emphasized the most to the quarterbacks?
Well, there's not just one thing, but I think if there was, it was you're accountable to yourself and the people around you, and how you represent the organization in and out of the building, and particularly when you're playing on the field. There's a mentality that we play with, and it's a no excuse mentality. We're going to put it on ourselves first, and then we're going to communicate with the rest of the group to get it all back together and be better the next time out. I think mentality first, and mentality and atmosphere are the things that we talk about. If I had to pick one thing, mentality and atmosphere, our mentality in the game, our mentality in the building, how we go about our business, and how we're accountable to each other.
Michael Phillips here in Richmond. Thanks for making the time. My understanding is Joe Gibbs kept trying to get your dad to come to Washington. He wouldn't for the longest time. So, I guess building on that, what brought you here and what sold you on it, and did he relay anything about his experiences with Coach Gibbs in the building?
Yeah, well, I had my own experience. I was a kid when that was going on, and each January, Dad would call a family meeting, which never happened, and so we knew something was up. So we're all in the kitchen, about 4 Januaries in a row. Okay, how do you guys feel about going to Northern Virginia? It was a resounding 4 no's immediately. All 4 kids, no, done. And we didn't go. We didn't want to leave Southern California. What did we know? Northern Virginia was Siberia to us. Is there beaches there? No, I'm out. but it was, they had a great relationship. They got along so well. And I'm sure it was pretty close to us coming here, but I'm sure glad I'm here now. I'm sure glad I have an opportunity to work for Coach Rivera and Coach Turner and what we're building here. And sky's the limit for us.
What was it that they told you that sold you on, this is the place to be, this is the time to be here?
Well, the first thing is the people. Whenever you can get a chance to be around Coach Rivera, you take it. You don't ask questions. It doesn't matter where it's at. You know what you're getting, and it's all good. And you want to be around those kinds of people and those kind of leaders. The accountability that filters down through the building when you have someone like that is the atmosphere that you want to be around. Everybody's been in atmospheres where it's been different than that, and that's what we've all begged for. And when you get a chance to get it, you don't miss an opportunity to take it. But on top of that, being here in a storied franchise where it has won at a high level before, and that's exciting too, to be the people that bring it back.
Ron has said a couple times when he was interviewing coaches, he wanted to hear the plan to build a young quarterback. Just what was kind of your approach to that process, and what experiences did you kind of rely on? How did you kind of sell him maybe your vision of that process?
Well, I had one sheet because it's not hard. It's not easy, but the steps aren't hard. I had an opportunity to do this 2 years ago in 2018 in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield, and he played very, very well. He's a very accountable guy and accountable to his teammates, and he wanted to be good very, very badly. So it was easy for us to work and do extra work and get ready to play. The plan wasn't to have him play right away because we had Tyrod Taylor, who's a very good player. It came up that Tyrod got hurt and Baker was ready to go. But what you have to do when you get a young guy is you're on the clock. You only have a grace period for so many number of years where it's going to be on somebody else if it doesn't go right, and then it turns to the player. We need to be ready whenever that happens, and that could happen at any point in time where you get thrown in. So there's an urgency and there's an on-the-clock mentality that you have with the young guy that they have to share. And if you have to drag them, it's not fun. But if they're already up for the hunt, it's a lot better. And Baker was that way. These young guys in this building are that way, and that's what encourages me.
What have you kind of made of Kyle Allen so far? He's the guy that maybe we haven't asked about yet.
Yeah, he's still young. He's not old at all. He just turned 23 or 4 or something. He's just a baby in the league. He just had a couple of starts last year, and he already knows how to speak the language. He has a talented arm. He can move pretty good. There's a lot of upside to Kyle, and I can't wait to get it out of him.
You brought up some of the young guys you worked with. What do you like about working with young quarterbacks?
You get to mold them from the start. There's no, they're not flinching from flashbacks of past occurrences that didn't go right. You get to build it, and you get to build the mentality, and they don't have any preconceived notions about, it's got to be like this or got to be like that because they haven't done anything. So you have a chance to, feed them the language in such a way and the information in such a way that you can build incrementally. And then as they start to see, hey, this kind of works, and boy, things are starting to slow down for me. Then there's an added rush of urgency on top of that because they start to see some success. I just love that about the young guys. I love building someone's mind in the mold of our head coach and our coordinator and how we want them to be. That part's a blast for me.
And then with Alex, when you talk about things that you want to see, when he's, as far as protecting himself, how are you going to compare that? Because he's not going to be under a rush and all that. Are you going to go back and look at some of his past tapes to see how quick he was in certain situations? How would you determine that level of detail to see, can he do that?
Yeah, we'll be able to see through some of the drill work, how quickly he can move out of the way or slide and play. And then we'll also see, because we'll be in 11-on-11 where there's no contact, and there'll be guys that come clean in the rush, how you move in the pocket, how you can accelerate away from a free rusher, those kinds of things. And we'll use all of that to determine the next step from there.
We've seen Dwayne work out with Cam Newton and Deshaun Watson this offseason. What can he learn from veterans like that?
I loved it when he was working with Cam, because Cam has had to speak this language fluently for years. and hopefully there was some transfer of shortcuts or different things to, hey, I know it's like this, but this is the emphasis, hopefully there's been some shortcuts. I asked Dwayne when he was out there, I saw that picture and I texted him, I said, hey, make sure you ask him anything that you want to know about the offense or how something works. He says, I'm already on it. So I was really excited about the response. I know he was, and I'm glad he was out there working out with Cam.
Quick question. When you plugged in the tape on Dwayne last year, could you give us like one or two things that you really liked, one or two things that maybe stuck out that he really needs to hone in on? And in your opinion, and I know it's hard to compare because you weren't here last year, was he put in a situation at all to succeed?
Yeah, I can't speak on last year. I know those coaches very, very well. Jay and I work together. I know he's fantastic. So we'll leave that at that. What I saw on the tape from Dwayne, he's very quick with the ball. A very short, quick stroke. He's accurate. He can repeat the same stroke over and over again. And those are the things that got me excited. Once he sees it, the ball comes off his hands very, very quickly. There's no wind up. There's no wasted motion or wasted movements. He's very, very efficient. And I love that part about him. He throws with touch and accuracy. And I just think there's a lot of meat on that bone to get. And he's just starting. He's just figuring it out. And I think the atmosphere of the building with Coach Rivera will bring the best out of him.
But I was curious, you're talking about the language so much. So I was just curious, can you speak the language? What would be like a difficult play call without telling us what it actually is?
Twins right fly, scat right, 525 F post swing would be an example of a play call. A lot of offenses, the protections are digits and the routes are words. This one, the protections are words and the routes are digits. So as you move from offense to offense, there's different ways of communicating responsibilities on each play. And for the guys that haven't had the digit system for the routes, you're converting words into numbers.